he's hitting on her so hard that I expect him to just go, bah, I want to have sex with you now, but... Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. But now, my friends chat, we're going to go ahead and jump into my non-spoiler review of Black Widow. I saw it earlier this afternoon before I did my watch party today. And I want to discuss some things. There's a lot of things out there. A lot of people like the movie. A lot of people just dislike the movie. A lot of people are disappointed by certain aspects of it. And I want to talk about the things I liked, the things I thought that were like, well, it's good, but could have been better, and the things that I thought did not work, that I think failed. I'm going to go ahead and move over to this screen here, so you kind of won't see the chat for this. So but I will see you guys. We'll go back and forth, of course. But I'm going to put this up here because just in case people come in, they know I'm doing a Black Widow review, but there's no spoilers. No spoilers whatsoever, Chad. I want to keep emphasizing that. But overall, Chad, I want to get into it. I want to talk about like the best aspects of this movie first, a few. And I thought that the film had a very strong opening, chat. I really liked it. I mean, just the opening credits sequence. I was very impressed by when we finally go into, the childhood. Like, yeah, yes, we got flashbacks of Natasha Romanoff, of, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow in previous films, a bit in, what was it, Avengers, Age of Ultron, but not really. It was more like window dressing, chat. We heard hints of it throughout the entire series, chat, even in the first Avengers and a couple other things. Budapest is always mentioned. We know what Budapest is now. They do explain that. But I thought, like, the opening of the movie, and when we see a young Black Widow, we see her in this thing where it's kind of like, not getting into the spoiler or anything like that, but it does take liberally from maybe like a show called The Americans, where it's about like a Soviet family living in, typical American suburbia, and I really like that. The actress who they got to play a young Scarlett Johansson, holy shit, they did a great job with that. That was really good. I liked their kind of little faux family dynamic, chat, where you had David Harbour basically playing the father of Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff, and you also have the young Florence Pugh in there. By the way, we're going to talk about Florence Pugh in a second, chat, because I got a lot to say about that. And Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz is kind of like the mother figure. But that ends, and then the tragedy happens. The thing is, like, this is a very, like, I will give this, like the opening of this movie deals with, like, a lot of dark material. I mean, the idea of child trafficking and slavery and forced biological surgeries on little girls or teenage girls. It's like, this is some pretty fucked up material, and I'm glad Marvel went into that. It really kind of set the tone for, I think, like the first half and the dysfunctional family dynamic that we see throughout the movie, which I think, for me at least, really worked. I really liked that. And so I loved everything in regards to the openings. Again, the song they use, it's a cover song. I forget what the cover song they use for it, but great. Really love the opening credits. Really, really good. Really set the tone well. I like that we got into more about the lore of the Red Room, like the whole process, the Black Widows and the how they control them and things. How they lessen that control doesn't work as much for me, but I did like that we got into finally. Yeah, it's like Smells Like Teen. That's what it was. I was like, I know this song. Like, I know this song. They did a cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit. They made it creepy as fuck. I was like, holy shit. It worked though. It worked. It was cool. Really see children tortured. Yeah. And I'm glad that, and of course it's the PG-13 version of it, but it's still kind of traumatic. It's like, oh wow, okay, we're dealing with, the kidnapping of children and brainwashing of children, of little girls, and experimenting on them, biologically experimenting on them, manipulating them, taking, cues from, Soviet tactics and espionage and subterfuge and sabotage, and that's cool. That's cool. I like those aspects of it a lot. No, no children were tortured in this film. Well, no real children. I hope not, unless Marvel got really fucking meta with it. They could have gotten real meta with it, Jeff, for all we know. But I also like learning more about the the Red Room and some of the character introduced. I'm gonna kind of go in order which we saw like these characters. So yes, we get the Rachel Weisz, we get the David Harbour and stuff like that. But I want to get into the meat of their roles later on. But like the first character introduced to chat is this SHIELD operative that. So in this, the whole setting, this takes place before the events of Infinity War. It's set between Civil War and Infinity War. Natasha Romanoff, she's on the run due to the Sokovia Accords at this point. And so she has like a guy, she has an agent who's like an ex-SHIELD agent. I guess after everything happened in Winter Soldier, when SHIELD fucking fell apart, he's like, nah, I just get stuff for people. That's his job. And I think his name, Rick Mason's the character. He's played by, I'm not familiar with the actor, O.T. Fabinelli? Fabina? I don't know how to say his name, but he's fun. Rick Mason, like his dynamic with Scarlett Johansson was great. He obviously wants to fuck her. He's putting on all these signs. I mean, he's hitting on her so hard that I expect him to just go, bah, I want to have sex with you now. But, Natasha Romanoff's like, I'm sorry, it's not my thing. Although they kind of explain maybe as to why she doesn't want to get physically romantically involved with someone. But he was great. Like, he's not in the movie, like, for a lot of it. When he is in the film, he's pretty goddamn fun. He's in The Handmaid's Tale. The opening chase escape scene it was good. Oh yeah, no, absolutely Deadpool, no question about it. A lot of the chase sequences and the choreography in this movie is great. I like the more grounded stuff. Again, in the first half of this movie, I'm really enjoying the first half. There's some other things that are like that don't work, but for the most part, the first half is like, wow, nailing it. I love the tone. It's very Winter Soldier for the most part. For the first half of the film, I love the grounded action. I love all the chase scenes. I love the dynamic and the rapport between all the characters. Like, that's all working. And even though he's not in the movie a lot, I really like what they do with Rick Mason. He's fun. I hope to see him again. I imagine we will. I would not be surprised. But Chad, after the Rick Mason character, after Scarlett Johansson, her character gets sent on this new mission. She gets involved in the whole. It's when we meet now again. The whole MacGuffin in this movie, I want to talk about the negatives yet. I'll talk about the negatives in a bit. Because the whole MacGuffin, the whole thing that gets her sent on this mission to me is fucking ridiculous. And it deals with the widows and how the widows are still out to that program, still going on, the Red Room's still going on. And how, in order to help them, to me, I'm like, wait, what? Yep. It's a little goofy, is all I'll say. Fatty Space Cure took your advice, Alan Wake. It's great. I'm loving it too, man. Loving it too. But before we get to that, after the introduction of the Rick Mason character, we get the introduction of Florence Pugh's Yelena. Wow, Florence Pugh is so goddamn good in this movie, chat. Like, I'm like, holy shit. It kind of makes me realize this should have been her movie. Because anytime she's on screen, she's like, all right, get out of the way, ScarJo. Get out of the fucking way. This is my time to shine. Because I'm sorry, but every time she's on screen, chat, she outshines pretty much everybody. She is so funny. She has so much chemistry with so many of the other actors, chat. I just love her whole attitude. Her really dry sense of humor. It's like, wow, and it makes me think that this movie shouldn't have been a prequel at all. This shouldn't have been like, here's the mission for Black Widow we didn't see in between Civil War and Infinity War. It's like, no, you should have done a Black Widow movie, but it should have been Florence Pugh as the lead. It should have been her film, and it's her taking over the mantle. It's her going on a mission, like, this is the thing that Natasha escaped from or whatever. And maybe you do like a flashback sequence or something with them, but it should have been her. She should have been the star. Because and we'll get to it, like Scarlett Johansson is good, but she's fine. She's good. She's competent. She does a good job. She's not bad in the movie at all. She has a good rapport with everybody, but there are a lot of actors who outshine her here. And I don't think that's her fault. I think it's just a material that's written for her. And because her being dead at this point, we know that she's dead. She's going to die. It's kind of like takes the drama out of it. The stakes are a little bit lower at this point. But with Florence Pugh's character, it's like, wow. Like, the movie like really comes to life when she's on screen. And her dynamic with her sister, Natasha Romanoff is excellent. I love all their fight scenes. I love their back and forth. They feel like sisters. Like, she's really impressive. She calls Black Widow out on the various things that she's done in the past films in a very funny way. I don't want to spoil some of the jokes, but they have a great repeating gag throughout the movie in regards to posing, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. I thought she is the Black Widow. So listen, obviously they set her up to be the next one. Black Widow, White Widow, whatever they're going to call it. People are saying she's going to be this, she's going to be that, whatever she's going to be. She's going to take over the mantle that Natasha Romanoff, sat down, put down. Great. She's going to nail it. She's great. She's like a super sassy Black Widow, and she's probably my favorite part of the movie as well. She was good. Another character introduced that I thought was great was David Harbour as the Red Guardian, Alexei chat. And he's kind of like Captain America if Captain America was kind of like a lazy piece of shit, which I love that. I know some people think, oh, he's too buffoonish, but I like that about him. I mean, it's David Harbour. It's got the dad bod. He's overweight. He's an alcoholic. He's a lying piece of shit, but I loved him. I absolutely loved him. He's like the shitty daddy. He's like the shitty dad that knows he's fucked up. He's like, I fucked up, and I'm trying to figure out how I fucked up, and I'm trying to do my best. But he's really funny in the movie. I like his rapport with Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh, and he's also really horny all the time. So I don't know what it was. I guess Steve was just truly a good man and truly special, because anyone that they've given the super soldier serum to, they either become a supervillain, they've either gone crazy, or they've just become the biggest pieces of shit. I mean, I think that's what you see. I'm the Red Guardian, chat. I am David Harbour, just 10 years later. That's where I'm going right now. Nice cousin. Absolutely, I could do that. I could do David Harbour. I should do Sheriff Hopper. When you think about it, Black Widow could have been a sequel to Stranger Things where Hopper got turned around. That's right, because it all makes sense. The time frame fits it, right? In the 80s. Although he makes references to the 80s too. Oh, the 90s, yeah, they could have done that. They could have worked around. They could have worked around it. U.S. Agent was one that became, U.S. Agent. Bucky went fucking crazy. Emil Blonsky became an abomination. Like, anyone who's ever got, Isaiah Bradley, he got the super soldier serum. He's good. So, exceptions. There's some exceptions. One exception at the very least. But, yeah, he's fun. I like where we see him, where he's just so disillusioned. He's in prison. He's in like a Russian prison chat, and the only thing he gets his kicks now is telling people made up stories and stuff. There's some great fucking scene, and he's just even like, again, I don't want to spoil certain things, but even like subtle scenes how he's interacting with all the prisoners and telling about his past exploits and stuff, and how it's like, oh, you ain't shit, and he does something where it's like, oh, he's like, he's still got it. Like, he's a fuck up, but he's still competent, and I like that about him. I want to see more of him in the future. He's fun. He's like, he's the shitty dad character, but it works. And then you also have Rachel Weisz, who's kind of like the elder Black Widow, if you would. It's funny to think about Rachel Weisz. Oh, yeah, she's the old one now. But I love her whole dynamic, her back and forth with David Harbour, her being kind of like this faux maternal figure for Scarlett Johansson, who's kind of like put that to bed, but Florence Pugh's character is like, no, you are my mom, and all that, and dealing with that, like, that's a really cool kind of fuck. Like, no, it's about a dysfunctional family coming together to put their shit to bed and try to make themselves, I think, all better, or at least leave the world in a better place so stuff like this doesn't happen again. So they're just putting aside all their dysfunctionality, and like, hey, let's work on each other and do this thing. Like, I love that dynamic movie. That's fully on display in the first half, I think, for the most part, and into the last half, I'd say as well. They get into the crazy shenanigans, and I think that kind of undercuts some of that cool family building moments. But I like it. Rachel she fought mummies. She fought fucking mummies. I wish he got more screen time. Would have liked a scene where he got to shine him. I would have liked a little bit more. I of course, I'm right there with you. But at least what he had, I thought he did it well. And same with Rachel Weisz's character. Old enough to pass for ScarJo's mom. They could be. I know. Well, they aged her up a little bit because I'm like, Rachel Weisz isn't that old. Like, how old is Rachel Weisz? Let me see. I know she's in her 40s. She must be in her 40s now, right? She is. No, she's 51. She's 51. I know Scarlett Johansson, I think, is like still in her 30s. So I mean, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. But she's good. They did age her a little bit for the movie. They had some makeup, some extra lines and stuff. And I liked her role in the film. When they're all together, it's like you've seen the trailers when they're all together in that one house. I like the back and forth. That was really cool. And also, as I said before, Chad, I mentioned this earlier, the action choreography is very good. Like, I like the more grounded stuff because then that's where it felt like Civil War. So that's like, there's this one great action sequence in an apartment building with Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, them fighting at each other and stuff. And I love that. Great car chases in the movie. Even some of the choreography they do with Taskmaster is fun. But yeah, the fight choreography is really good, and the chase sequences all great. The ending battle, it's similar to like a lot of superhero films. I think it's like we gotta blow something up in the sky, and that's what happens, and it's like it's over the top. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, she gets a fucking power boost and a half, and it's like, okay, I get I know you're the best of the best of the best in terms of secret agents, but you are doing like, stuff that, Iron Man and Thor be going, all right, let's take it easy though. Like she was doing some crazy stuff, but that wasn't the best action. It was the stuff earlier in the movie, I thought. The more grounded action, where it was more like Winter Soldier. That's when I was like, okay, now you're doing a pretty good job here. I really like that. Now we get to the stuff that I think, well, it worked. It was good. It was competently done. But it wasn't the best. And as I said before, I think Scarlett Johansson is kind of really pushed to the side of this movie. And in a way, it makes sense because it's her swan song. It's her goodbye to the MCU. And, she's serving her purpose as, well, now I'm pushing these other characters forward at the forefront because we're going to see more of them later on. Obviously, Florence Pugh's character is being set up for many things at this point. Possibly, David Harbour and, whoever else. But she's fine. She's good. But she's not the thing that you're coming around, away from the movie going, oh, but Scarlett Johansson, I can't wait to see her again. Like, that's the big problem with the movie is that, honestly, Black Widow, she should have gotten her solo, not solo film, solo trilogy years ago. I mean, honestly, it should have come out after Avengers, or at the very least, at the latest, after Winter Soldier. But they didn't do that, and that was due to politics at the time and people who were in charge and made it difficult. But it's a damn shame that she didn't get a proper trilogy because she deserved one. They introduced a lot of cool, interesting things about her. I would have loved to have seen her, the more spy era side of the MCU, the spy subgenre side of the MCU, kind of that we got a taste in Winter Soldier and things. Again, if this had just been a Florence Pugh movie where it's her Black Widow and her alone, along with, with the exception of like taking out Scarlett, I think it would have been a better film. I think it would have been a stronger movie. Would have had stronger legs to stand on, in my opinion. And also the CGI. I thought the CGI ranged from being, this is good, to be like, yeah, that's a green screen. It's like, yeah, it looks iffy. It was always back and forth with me, especially the ending part. There's some bad CGI green screen stuff. I was like, yeah, this doesn't look too good. Again, when they had that grounded action assisted by some CGI stuff, then it was better. But like the ending portion, I was like, yeah, this is hit and miss with me, the CGI. Not all bad, but still fun. Unless they didn't have enough time to post. I guess so. Which, I mean, they had an extra year. Last act of the movie is so totally divorced from everything that came before it. But yes, yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm very positive about the first half of the film, because I think it's really good. I think it's really entertaining. I loved it. I wanted more of that, but we didn't get that, sadly. Then we get into the plot stuff. Like, the second half, it's the plot stuff, and that's where we get to the bad stuff, chat. So the fine, all the good stuff I said before, the things that work, but maybe weren't the best things. Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, the CGI was up and down with me. But again, let's get to the bad stuff here. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't work. Where the whole plot of the movie basically is, the Black Widows are all out there. It's, the Red Room's still in operation, things, and they're still implanted around the world and causing chaos and shit. And the thing that will stop them is red mist. It's derpy red dust, shit. It'll stop them from being derpy. We'll just go, yeah, it's like pocket sand. It's literally pocket sand. We're going to throw red pocket sand at you and go, bah, and that's it. And you're like, I'm okay. I mean, you're still horrible fucking trauma and shit like that for the rest of your life. You got to live with all the guilt and everything that you've done and all the resentment, hatred of people that did this to you. But it's just like, are you kidding me? It's just I was like, what? Yeah, cherry Kool-Aid. Yeah, it's fucking cherry Kool-Aid. That's what it is. And it's just, yeah, that's just lazy. It's just like, oh yeah, we just blow this stuff in your face. We're going to release it and you'll be A-okay. It's like, no, that's just bad. That's a really shitty MacGuffin. That's just a really shitty plot element. prop. It's a really shitty prop in the movie to make all the bad stuff go away. I was like, no, that did not work for me. I did not like that explanation as to how we're going to deal with the Black Widow Red Room problem. The other two things that don't work in the movie, chat, Ray Winstone, he is technically the villain of the film. What's his name? I wrote it down here. General Dreykov. He's just a monologuing bad guy, chat. He's evil. He's the one who had set up the whole operation stuff. And that's the other thing, too, the Russian accents. The Russian accents are very hit and miss. Like, I didn't... Florence Pugh's, I think, was fine because she has that very husky voice, and I like that, and so I thought it worked for me. A lot of people said, like, oh, her voice was kind of hit and miss. I liked it. I think hers was the best. David Harbour's goes in and out all the time. Same with Rachel Weisz's accent, goes in and out. But I was like, okay, they're doing fun things with them that I forgave it. His is, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck his is. He's, like, British sounding sometimes, but then he's Russian again, and that didn't work for me. I mean, there's nothing, he's just evil to be evil, Chet. He's evil to be evil. He's, that's it. There's not much to him. And then we get to the thing which, and I gotta be careful what I say here in regards to this character, because there's a lot out there right now. There's a lot of spoilers out there for this character. But I'll say Taskmaster is one of the worst MCU villains to date. The character's up there. Like, they don't do anything with Taskmaster. Like, they show off the whole thing where he's fighting, like, the characters. He's fighting, like, Captain America and Black Panther and Hawkeye and Spider-Man and I think someone else maybe. Does all that. But Taskmaster's the character's just a mute. Taskmaster doesn't say anything. He's just there for the action scene and then goes away. And that's really it. And then there's a reveal with Taskmaster, and it's so thoroughly unsatisfying. It's like, really? That's why Taskmaster asked this way, and this is the reason why? I'm like, wow, what a waste. Like, the Taskmaster from the comics, I'm like, well, in the comics, what I like about Taskmaster, yes, he has the whole, like, they use, because the movie, they use his combat abilities as a gimmick. That's all it is. But I like in the comics with Taskmaster chat, Tony Masters, which is the character's name, his alter ego. He has all that. He's able to memorize all these fighting styles because he has a photographic memory. But he's also, like, really sarcastic and braggadocious. He's very full of himself. He's got a big personality, okay? He's gone between being a villain and being a hero, member of the Thunderbolts chat. Like, the guy has fucking personality. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna be talking shit the whole time. And Taskmaster doesn't say anything. Deadpool, yeah, I would say so. Thank you, No Movie Without Buddies. This sounds like a Phase 2 or 3 movie that came out way too late. Yeah, that's gonna be my wrap-up point. There are things where it's like, this definitely feels like I don't even say, like, elements of a Phase 1 movie, honestly. A lot of good ideas, but not all of them work. And a lot of just kind of forgettable plot points that was like, really? That's all you had? I mean, it's definitely Phase 1 villain for Taskmaster. But as I was saying, like, Taskmaster, he has this big personality, and there's so many dimensions to him, and he's fun. He's a fun character. And the fact what they do with him here, it's like, you wasted it. Now, that's a good comparison. Like, it's Deadpool, X-Men Origins bad, a faceless villain who does not talk. I think Taskmaster maybe says 2 words, maybe 2 lines, and that's about it. Boring. And Taskmaster is boring in the movie. They don't do anything. They don't do anything interesting. And when they do, again, I'm not doing spoilers, but there's a reveal, and it's like, really? That's it? Okay. That was supposed to be their like, oh, you thought Taskmaster was boring. How about this? It doesn't work. And it's too bad because I know they're definitely moving towards doing a Thunderbolts movie or TV show, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be cool to see Taskmaster be part of Thunderbolts because in the comics Taskmaster is always a part of that, and this I'm like, no don't put Taskmaster on that team. How does he compare to Malekith? I mean, at least Malekith talked. At least Malekith had goals. He's like, I want to do this. Why? Because I want to. At least he had motivation. At least he's like, I want to do something. Like, Taskmaster doesn't have that. Taskmaster does not have motivations. Taskmaster does not speak. Taskmaster is a gimmick in the movie. The character is a gimmick. The character is there to fight and do the things that you saw, Wakanda Forever and Spider-Man and shit. That's it. Hawkeye. That's all they do. That's all the Taskmaster character does. Outside of that, nothing. And it's a plot point. And it's like, oh, well, look at this. How does this make you feel, Scarlett Johansson? She's like, I don't know. Kind of takes away my agency and kind of a big motivating factor in my life, honestly, with the big Taskmaster reveal in the movie. But it doesn't work. It falls. It's like a shitty Winter Soldier fatty space. Yes. So at least with Bucky in the Winter Soldier, where he doesn't really speak all that much in that movie, true. But we do have context with Bucky. It's like, oh shit, there's a connection. There's a connection with Steve and Bucky, obviously in the first movie. And while Steve is so motivated to save his friend, no matter what, they try to do that with Natasha and Taskmaster in this. But because it's all we have set up for that is literally a scene, a flashback, and her going, yeah, fuck it. It's like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's like a shitty version of Winter Soldier, of that plot point. It's the most disappointing aspect of the movie, and it's, even with the reveal of what it is, there's no reason to strip the character of their personality. Like they could have still did what they did in terms of the reveal, but the character should still have that sarcastic, that braggadocious personality, that villain that you love. Because that guy, he's a son of a bitch. Taskmaster's a son of a bitch, but I love him. He's so funny. Like, that's what the character is, and that's not on display. And it really drags down the movie because that's all about the second half and stuff. And that second half is where it's just like, all right, let's get back to the plot. Back to the plot and the Black Widow dust and shit, and all right, here we go. They wrap it up. So yeah, the first half of the movie I think was very, very strong. I was like, oh, this is like full price territory for me. I'm like, I'm liking this, and I don't know what people are saying. I was like, oh, but then that thing hits, and it's like, yeah. After that, then you're kind of like, yeah, they fumbled. Not a bad movie. Flawed, definitely flawed. I think the best film to start Phase 4 off with, chat. If you want to consider that the start of Phase 4, not really. It feels like. Again, I go back to this point. Thank you, Nick, for the Lebanese. The big reveal and did everything I thought was really interesting for Nats. Yes. Because they explain Budapest. You find out what Budapest is. The Marvel had balls, and nope, they don't. Yeah, again, I can't go into detail without spoiling things. Thank you. No, it's funny that this is coming out during the same time as Loki series. Sounds like Loki series one of the Marvel strongest. Yeah, no, it is. All the Marvel shows are better than this movie, no doubt. I like them all significantly better. Thank you for the biddies, by the way, guys. It's just, I think the biggest mistake they made, obviously the Taskmaster stuff is like, yeah, you guys just, it didn't work. It was kind of like the Mandarin thing. It's the Mandarin thing except worse, because I will even say this about the Mandarin thing. With Trevor Slattery, with Ben Kingsley, at least it was funny. At least he was a character. You could say what you will about that reveal in Iron Man 3, that twist, love it, hate it, whatever. At least he was doing something, and he was having an interaction with characters. Taskmaster does not do that in this. There's nothing. Taskmaster does this. Taskmaster does this. And then fights. That's all the character does. But again, I think the biggest problem with this movie is that they made it a prequel. It should have just been about Florence Pugh's Black Widow, where it's like, okay. Marvel could have went like, listen, obviously we should have given Scarlett Johansson her own trilogy. Yes. But her character is passed on, and we want to do right by the idea of the Black Widow moniker. And so now we have a new person coming in to take over the role as a new version of the character, and here's Florence Pugh, because she is really goddamn good in the movie. Like, I'm gonna step away from that. Like, there's a good portion of the new characters they introduced are fun, and I want to see them again. And Florence Pugh is at the top of that, and they've already set her up. Like, all right, there you go. You're going to be in this, and this, and this, and that, and you're probably going to get on the movie, most likely. But the biggest flaw, sadly, is just that they made this a prequel. I mean, it's the thing that we were all concerned with, Chad, and it sadly came to fruition. But it's not a bad movie. It's still very entertaining. There's a lot of good stuff to it, but it fumbles the ball in a number of regards. So if I were to give it a rating, I don't know. I guess I'd give it like a low matinee. I give it a low matinee, chat. Yeah, I give it a low matinee. Matinee, low matinee. I'm around there. I wouldn't think it's like a rental for me, but it's definitely like low matinee territory. Still fun. The fake Mandarin twist was the least interesting. The Taskmaster twist is boring. Yeah, it's just boring. This is like, okay. It doesn't lead to anything. I mean, it undoes something, but I don't want to say what it is. Zodi, I would have written Black Widow brainwashed with her sister and rescuing her and the other widows, but that's me. Yeah, I mean, there's other... I just feel like the Nat character, the Natasha Romanoff character, she's gone. But the Black Widow moniker lives on. So... You know, you could have had the Florence Pugh character as it should have been her movie, because it kind of is. Anytime she's on screen, she takes it away from Scarlett Johansson. Chat. That's how I feel, at the very least. So I give it a little money. Still very enjoyable though. I've been on the Florence Pugh hype train since Outlook. She's great now, Lucky. She's a great actress, Chat. Honestly, from what you've said, they could have made it about Natasha trying to reconnect with her strained family. Something that comes with it, you have your jokes and high octane action sprinkled in, but made about family. That always, it does. Family, absolutely. And you need a better villain. You need something to make it more personal. That's the thing. Like, okay, like if that's the thing, it's about Natasha finding that family, the thing that she always wanted, but was an illusion, wasn't real, was that her faux family, if you will. Then you should have had a villain that affected that family. And Taskmaster does not serve that purpose, in my opinion. I would have been fine with Taskmaster's reveal if they had developed character and backstory. Yes, exactly. I would have been fine with that, but there's no personality of the character. The reveal doesn't work because you have nothing to grasp with this villain, and Natasha's connection to him before the third act, I give a recommend. Yeah, I'm right there. I think I'd give it a matinee. I don't know if low matinee. I'll give it a matinee. It's better than Captain Marvel. Yeah, I think it's better than Captain Marvel. What else we here? Florence Pugh and David Harbour were missing. Great, Austin. Agreed. I liked that. I thought it should came after, though it should came after Civil War. Though it should came after, you mean before? You mean before Civil War? The big thing was maybe the most uncomfortable. A movie, yeah, it was there. Maybe, yeah. There is some fucked up shit. There's some dark stuff in this movie. Yeah, I love Whiplash from Iron Man 2, and a lot of people did, but he had history and better movie. Yeah, I think Black Widow's better than Iron Man 2. Like if I were to rank this movie, I don't know. There's how many Marvel movies are there? 25, 26 at this point. There's a lot. Like this is better. This is better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Thor: The Dark World. It's better than Thor. It's better than I'd watch this over Iron Man 3 personally. I'd watch this over Iron Man 3. It's better than Incredible Hulk, I'd say. I say Captain Marvel's better than Captain Marvel. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's better than a number of movies. I don't know how I'd rank it. I gotta look at the list, Chad, again. But I give it matinee. It's entertaining. A lot of good stuff in there. I'm looking forward to Florence Pugh's Black Widow in the future, Chad, because that's what we're going to get, obviously, which I'm like, hey, you did great. They get a great job of setting her up. No doubt about that. Would you prefer to be a series versus the movie? Would you prefer it to be a series versus the movie? No, I'm fine with it being the movie. That's okay with me. It's just that the second half of the movie just doesn't work. Yeah. Especially what's coming after seeing the very ending of it. Yeah, they set something up. They set something up that's tying directly into something that we're going to see soon, I imagine. I think the end credits could have been left out. I'm trying to think of the end credits. Oh, well, there's like, I don't know, is there end credits, I guess? Well, that one's the thing that they set up. It's fine. Yeah, that's all this. So it's square in the middle. Yeah, it's square in the middle. It's square in the middle. Yeah, it's a middle. It's a mid-tier. It's a mid-tier movie, which means like, hey, it's very entertaining. You're gonna like a lot of stuff in it, but it has some flaws. It definitely has some flaws. Yeah, yeah. Black Widow falls. Let me know the more movie rankings for me. Yeah, it's like it's there. Like it's above Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's kind of right there with like Avengers: Age of Ultron. Maybe it's like there's some really good things here. There's some stuff that I don't like. It's gonna go. It's walked in between those. That's to me. Me too. A higher middle for you, Austin. Mr. Monkey, thank you for getting this up. The Fatty Space Carrot. Really, really do appreciate it. To me, the surprise ending made me very excited for Florence Pugh. So our new Marvel character looks at the mouse nervous. Oh yeah. Is it better than Captain Potato Marvel? That's fine. No, I think this is better than Captain Marvel. I'll be watching it tomorrow, so I look forward to it. Basically, it's yours. No, very much so. Like I could see a lot of people walking out of this movie and going, "Oh, this is a full price." Definitely, I could see that. Yeah, that first half is very strong, and a lot of the characters they introduced in that first half are great. The ones that Nat has a relationship with, Scarlett Johansson's character has a relationship with, very, very good. So yeah, all respect to you. I totally see that. We watch it. Oh, I'm sorry, I just read that news. I understand why they let Falcon and Soldier come first before this. Yeah, I guess it works. Yeah. It doesn't really matter which order you see them in, technically, I guess. Although, I mean, yeah. What was got here? Florence surprised me. She was great. I was your favorite, so good. It's well appreciated. Yeah, Chris Ayers, every time I've gone to Twitter for the past couple days, I've seen Yelena in the trending. Yeah, there's already videos of her, Yelena, the whole typical YouTube video thing, Yelena being iconic for 5 minutes. And yeah, it's great. No, when she does a Avengers movie, because they'll eventually do another Avengers film, chat, and she's the new Black Widow. She's gonna have a great dynamic with those characters. People are gonna be happy about it. The one with the bland end credits, usually when the actors' names appear, there's a cool visual animation, just a black screen. Yeah, it wasn't all kind of done up like in a cool way. Yeah, but overall, it's still a fun film. I still recommend watching it. I still recommend going to the theater and checking it out, or if you want to watch it on Disney Plus, if you want to do that. But I had fun. I had fun with it. But yeah, it's a mid-tier Marvel movie. Great stuff. Some okay stuff and some seriously flawed stuff. That's all I'll say. But overall, yeah, I give it a matinee. I'm gonna give it a matinee. That's my final ranking. Final ranking, chat. But now, my friends, so this is done. So no spoilers again, chat. No spoilers. No spoilers. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go back to class in a glass cast for your ass of a little bit of sass, chat. Gonna read my very generous patrons' Patreon questions. So let's go ahead and get that up right now. Thanks for the video. Thank you. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this is a little different than my typical spoiler reviews, chat, but I just want to share what I thought of the movie and see what you guys thought of it. If we had on the similar page or if we differed in some regard. But yeah, that was fun. It was a good time. Glad it all worked out, chat. Glad it all worked out. Yeah. Well, I imagine, chat, will do a spoiler discussion. Possibly maybe on Sunday service. Again, I don't know specifically. Nothing has been said, but I think one of the Taskmaster thing is going to be talked about, and that we might talk about that. So we'll see. But I know we're doing the Fear Street films, so don't hold me to it. Intro's top 5 for me with the Terminator 2 intro. Oh, you mean the intro to Black Widow? Oh, intro to Black Widow is great. As I said before, as I emphasized, the opening intro of Black Widow is spectacular. It's very good. I was like, oh shit, didn't expect any of this.